I don't even know where to begin with this game. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is so ridiculous in its design, its premise, and everything else that it took the title of a series, gave it a subtitle, and then decided to give it another subtitle that slammed together the words revenge and vengeance. Two words that are basically the same thing. It only has like 7 levels, it can be completed within 3 hours, and has one of the dumbest stories I think I've ever heard. And you know what? I fucking loved every second of it. Every aspect of this game, whether it's the development, the gameplay, the character design, the music, or the story, feels like it was being developed by people constantly pumped with adrenaline while doing acid every 20 minutes. First announced back in 2009 at the Games Developers Conference in San Francisco, it was originally called Metal Gear Solid Rising and was to be set before the events of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. It was going to tell the story of how Raiden became the cyborg ninja in Metal Gear 4. Of course, development hell would put a change to that. The game got cancelled after Hideo Kojima cited his team's inexperience with hack-and-slash combat to be an issue. That, however, is not an issue for the team at Platinum Games. Famous for their insane combat design in games like Bayonetta and Wonderful 101, they took over development, added the Revengance title, and released it in February 2013. Although it was still overseen by Kojima, the game took on an even more ridiculous approach than the rest of the Metal Gear series, and the beauty of blade mode combat was brought into the world. It's definitely not the best game out there, but damn is it fun. This is why you should play Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Quick disclaimer, this video will contain spoilers, but trust me, the story has not really got anything you can spoil. It's just that dumb. The game starts as any high-octane, pulse-pounding game should. And I really mean it this time, because it starts with fighting frickin' Metal Gear Ray. Literally, you fight 2 minor enemies, and then giant robot killing machine. It sets the ridiculous tone of this game straight away. In previous Metal Gear Solid games, these were one of the final bosses of the game, whereas here, you're fighting it before you even know how the controls work. It's not even an easy fight either. Play this on higher difficulties, very hard, Revengeance mode, even hard, and it will kill you in 2 to 3 hits at the most. And in this first level, you don't even get automatic health items like you do in the rest of the game. The game pulls no punches, making sure you feel the difficulty from the second you start. After the battle, you carry on through the level chasing down one of the game's main villains, Sundowner. Before you can reach him though, guess what? Metal Gear Ray comes back for round 2. You fight it again, and just as you think it's out for the count, it throws you into a clock tower. You then run down the building, dodging bullets and rockets and crumbling bits of the building, and then finally slicing the thing in half. That is the first half of level 1, and you've already fought final boss material twice. The game may be short, but it does pack each level with insane moments like these. The level continues, and you fight against Raiden's new rival, Jetstream Sam, a cyborg samurai with a cocky attitude. Oh, by the way, his sword is also on fire, and it has a gun trigger on it. And Raiden's body and sword spouts electricity at all times, and later on there's a robot dog. I could go on with this game, everything in it is just ridiculous. Sam starts to kick Raiden's ass on top of a train, and eventually slices out an eye and takes off an arm. Raiden's response to this? Shit, not again. There you go, now the first level's over. The game moves at such breakneck speed that you can complete that level in 10 to 15 minutes. And there's only 7 of them, so yes, this game is short. But the pace of the game is amazing, with only 1 or 2 moments of slowdown in the entire game. The story continues with Raiden now back as a much more robotic cyborg ninja, with his bottom jaw and even his teeth now being metal, a robotic eye, and a new gravel voice to match Solid Snake's.
And you are...
Liquid!
The story to this game then just goes off the rails, but thankfully in the ridiculous and fun way. The story itself is just crazy. Something to do with the war economy, murdering and harvesting the brains of children to make cyborgs. Yeah, I'm serious on that one. Even complete with an evil, crazy scientist who Raiden chops in half partway through the game. The story is okay, but the characters and voice acting just make it such a good tongue-in-cheek story, even with the harvesting of brains.
And people say Germans aren't funny.
I could break the president in two with my bare hands! Don't fuck with this, Senator!
For example, you spend the entire game slicing people and robots to absolute bits. But about halfway through, for some reason, Raiden grows a conscience and starts feeling bad for the people that he kills. So much so that he can't fight anymore. For literally about 5 minutes. Then his bloodlust becomes so strong, it becomes a game mechanic and you jump straight back into the killing. It's so out of nowhere, it's actually hilarious. And Raiden, voiced by the awesome Quinton Flynn as usual, changes his voice to be more demonic now that he's become even more of a stone-cold killer.
Who's next?
Each character is voiced with charm and as over the top as possible, with the main villain, Senator Armstrong, Raiden and Sam being the best. They're good actors, but the script and story will make you laugh throughout. And I hope this is what the directors and writers were going for, because if it wasn't, well, how the hell do you take this bit seriously?
Am I finally getting through? I'll rid this world of pointless wars, Jack.
I was wrong. You're not greedy. You're batshit insane!
The best part of the story here for me is the main villain, Senator Armstrong, whose attitude and motivations are pretty much Donald Trump, with the body of 1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger. He literally even uses some of Donald Trump's slogans and catchphrases.
Defect! They'll make America great again!
What the hell are you talking about?
You then fight him in multiple forms towards the end, including a Metal Gear fight, where you literally lift it into the air to destroy it, and then just as him. And his excuse for being so ridiculously powerful is...
Played college ball, you know, but you die! Nanomachine, son!
The only thing you need to know about the rest of the story is A, the robot dog becomes Raiden's new friend, and B, there's a Ninja Turtles reference in a sewer. Now that the story is out of the way, let's move on to why I love this game so damn much. The music and the absolutely insane combat that I don't think any hack and slash game has ever beaten for me. Now, the description of the combat is going to make it sound a little bit dull, but hear me out. Like many hack and slash games, you have your strong and your weak attacks, and you get multiple weapons as you play through the game, including a bow staff, a scythe, and giant sword scissors. You heard me. The unique thing this game has is the parry attack and blade mode. The parry attack at first will take a while to get the hang of. When I first played the game running through on normal difficulty, I had a bit of trouble getting used to the timing of it, so I'd often get killed by large groups of enemies. By the end of the game though, I had pretty much mastered the skill, making playing on harder modes a lot more viable. You can parry most attacks unless the enemy is flashing yellow as they attack, which is some kind of ultimate move that most of them will do. It feels so satisfying though when you get it right and block several enemies at once. Some older reviews say this makes the combat too easy, and on normal mode, yeah sure it kind of does, maybe even on hard, but on higher difficulties, The enemies attack much more frequently and in way higher numbers, so parrying becomes much more difficult to pull off, or even impossible in some situations. Overall, it works well and makes the combat much more intense. Now onto the main star of the show, Blade Mode. And this is amazing. If you hold down the left trigger, you enter the mode, and it moves in closer to Raiden, and time will slow down. You can now slice with 1-to-1 precision with the right analog stick, and slice off body parts as you choose of your enemies. You can literally slice dozens of times on the same body until it's just a bunch of cubes on the floor. This move is limited dependent on the enemy's health and your energy bar. Enemies will glow blue when you can chop them up, and being strategic with this can make tough enemies easier to take down. When you get an enemy into a stun, you can slice open their spine in order to rip it out, crush it, and regain all of your health and energy. You can do this to pretty much every enemy in the game, and although this sounds like it would make it too easy, it surprisingly doesn't. As unlike most hack and slash games, each enemy in this game is a damn difficult challenge. There isn't even really any cannon fodder here apart from the little tripod enemies. Each enemy has a good chance of killing you if you're not careful. And when a large group of enemies take you on, you need to think on where to focus your attacks. Do you go for the larger enemies in order to get down to the weaker enemies? Or do you kill the smaller ones so you can focus on the bigger ones? Either way, you can get a serious butt kicking if you make a mistake here, especially on the hardest mode where 1 or 2 hits can kill you from even basic enemies. Speaking of difficulty modes, this is where you're gonna get your money's worth with this game. Like I said, it only really lasts a few hours, 4 tops with cutscenes. However, if you play each difficulty mode, you will progressively get more and more of a challenge and keep coming back to get that challenge. And when you reach the final Revengance difficulty, you really struggle to even beat the most basic and single of enemies. Very hard on Revengance, ramp up the difficulty with a bunch more enemies on screen at once, really making you feel the pinch. When you do complete an area though, it feels damn good for taking them down, and the difficulty never feels cheap. You just know that you made a mistake. The final boss as well is such a good challenge that you feel unstoppable when you beat him. For example, when I fought him on normal mode, he took me 10 to 15 minutes max. When I fought him on Revengance mode, it took me nearly an hour and I died nearly 30 times. But when you finally beat him, by the way, by ripping his still beating mechanical heart out of his chest, it feels damn good. Speaking of bosses, they are a highlight in this game as well, each being unique in their fighting style and each being a really good challenge. Mr. Rao uses a bow staff made out of robotic arms and uses hordes of tripod enemies to get in your way. Sundowner uses giant scissor-like swords and shields to hold you back, and Jetstream Sam is a hardcore one-on-one sword fight, samurai versus ninja, cyborg style. All of these bosses, in fact the whole game, comes with perfectly fitting, intense, heavy music, timed to the battles themselves to change tempo at key moments, and always keeps the adrenaline pumping as you play. Take this moment for example when you're fighting Metal Gear Ray at the start of the game.
Stop that plane! Yes! Sweeping wide open! Very good!
The game just keeps you adrenaline fueled at all times and makes sure that the pace is kept as described in the third subtitle to the game. That's right, there is actually 3, lightning bolt action. The version I used for this video is the PC version with a smooth 60 frames per second and all the original DLC included. The DLC extends the game a little bit for you, maybe another 2.5 hours. One where you play as Jetstream Sam and find out why he's on the enemy's side and why he's got a robotic arm. Other DLC you play as the robo-dog known as Blade Wolf and find out how he gained his robot freedom. These DLCs are fun, but they don't really add anything new. Sam just fights the same bosses as Raiden and runs through mostly the same areas, while Blade Wolf just gets a couple of rather dull VR missions, and then he runs through the second level backwards, although he does get a unique final boss unlike Sam, which does add a little bit to the game. Raiden, Sam and Blade Wolf also each get side VR missions as well, but most of these are average at best, some focusing on aspects of the game that just aren't that interesting, such as the stealth. Most though are combat areas, which although fun, don't really add that much replay value. A nice little extra to the game though is that you can purchase upgrades and costume variants during Raiden's story. Unlocking the mariachi costume and the business suit are two of the best, but the ultimate costume is being able to play as Grey Fox, complete with being able to get his sword as well. The main reason you should be playing this game though is for that sweet, sweet combat and to fight through every difficulty mode, as each time you play through it, you will want just a little bit more challenge, and the adrenaline becomes addicting as you fight to complete Revengance mode. To sum everything up, story, hilariously done. Music, excellent thrash metal, making every fight even more memorable. And combat, fucking amazing. And I'm still waiting for it to be topped. There's been rumours for years of a sequel to this, but sadly with the Konami and Kojima split, this is very unlikely to happen. But hopefully one day, Platinum will return to this awesome combat system and take it forward into another franchise, because there is no combat system I can think of that makes you feel like such a damn kick-ass cyborg ninja better than this. Thank you all for watching. My name's Phil, I'm the creator of this video. As you may have guessed, I really enjoyed this game. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more Why You Should Play videos. And you can check out my other series, Ticket to the Hype Train and Spotlight On. There's a few of these videos on screen now. Until the next video guys, thank you very much for watching.